Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. Today I have a total of 8 coastal candle DIYs for you using supplies from the Dollar Tree. Also, stick around later. I have another shore living stencil giveaway because we are about ready to hit 6,000 subscribers. So let's get started. We are going to start with these long shore living signs from the Dollar Tree. And I want to make like a lantern out of these. I thought that would be really cute. I have so many of these and I was like, what am I going to do with all of these signs? So I thought we could build something with it. So I have 4 of these seahorse ones. Now, if you didn't have all matching ones, you could do different cutout shapes if you painted it at the end. But I'm going to do 4 of the same. And I'm just using my little square ruler from the Dollar Tree to kind of mark off how long I want this box to be. I'm going to do 12 inches on this box. So I just went to my saw and cut that down. It'd be very long if you weren't to cut it down, but these are really easy to cut. So if you have a saw, you can use that. Or get somebody to help you. They're so thin that, you might be able to cut through them with a razor blade if you go through it several times. I'm not sure. They might break. And so I'm just using that first sign as a reference so that I can cut all of my little seahorse boards down to 12 inches. And there we go. Now I'm going to need a bottom as well. So I'm going to use one of the leftover pieces and then turn another piece sideways so that I can get a perfect square, and I can cut that piece out as well. And then I'm just going to save the rest of those pieces because those are great craft materials. Now I'm just going to give a quick sand. My saw did a pretty good job of cutting through this without making much of a mess. And we have all of the pieces to put together our lantern. I just love how this turned out. So I need to make it into a square. So I thought some of these tiny Jenga blocks from the Dollar Tree would be really good for that because they're thick enough that I can glue it to both sides, right? So I'm going to go ahead and glue one here. I don't want it completely close to the top, so it's not that visible. And then I'm going to glue another one here, and I'm gluing them flush to the side of this sign, so that I can join the other sign up next to it. Now this one on the bottom, I'm going to do flush with the bottom as well because I'm going to use that wood block to glue on the bottom of the lantern as well. So I'm thinking kind of like that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue a set on the other side. And then I'm just going to attach all of this with hot glue. These signs are pretty lightweight, and so I think it's definitely going to hold up. Now, if you're worried, I'm going to use these out in my Florida room, which is a covered patio. Otherwise, I wouldn't really recommend it being out in the weather or anything like that because these Dollar Tree signs don't normally hold up too well, at least for me here in Florida. So I'm going to take another board and do the same exact thing, set it up the same way, because I'm going to need one of those for both sides of my lantern. And I'm just going to put like a battery-operated candle in here because I'm not sure how flammable any of this stuff is. So we got that all attached. Now it is time to start putting it together. Now these signs, they can be a little bit warped. And so that's one reason why I'm using so many supports is to try to keep it square and straight. So I'm going to do a bead of hot glue on the outside of all of those. And then I can go ahead and join the side of the lantern like that. Trying to make sure that I keep it as square as I can. Now I did find that there was a tiny bit of bowing where it kind of had a gap there. So I'm going to go in and put a fourth support. You can't have too many supports. And if you had a thicker piece of wood, you could use that as well. But I was trying not to cover up the little cutouts. That's why I wanted to use the little tiny Jenga blocks. And they worked really well. So I'm going to go ahead and do a fourth block on the other side as well. And on this one too, because I know I'm going to need it. And that really helped keep the project square. And then we are ready to put the other side on. Just another thin bead of hot glue. And glue that on. You could use wood glue. It's definitely going to take you longer. And you might need to use a combination of hot glue and wood glue just for that fast hold to keep it together like that. Now, the last side is a little bit trickier, but definitely possible. I start with just putting hot glue on one side and gluing that on because I don't want the hot glue to get everywhere and I don't want it to dry before I'm ready for it to. So just gluing that side on. And then I can slightly pull away the opening there and get hot glue on the remaining little Jenga blocks so that I can glue it all together. I'm really happy with how these turned out. I think they're so cute. I love the finish on this seahorse one. The wood, I think it's really pretty. I'm going to leave this natural like that. And we have a box, a lantern box. So now we just need to put the bottom on. And since I put those 4 Jenga blocks down there at the bottom, all I have to do now is put hot glue on all 4 of those blocks and I can glue on the bottom. It doesn't have to be perfect, covering the whole thing, just most of it is good. And then I thought it needed a little something else, so I'm going to use some of this nautical rope from the Dollar Tree to kind of line the top and bottom of this. I can't say that I cut them all perfectly the same length. And so when I put this rope around the top, it definitely levels it out and makes it look like that I cut it all straight and they're all the same length. So, and it adds to it because it gives it another little coastal touch. So I'm just going to hot glue one of those thinner white ropes all the way around the top and the bottom. And I would like to take a minute today to thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate you. And don't forget to like this video, comment below your favorite DIY, and don't forget to subscribe. We're almost to 6,000 subscribers. So exciting. I've been around for a year and my channel is finally starting to grow. So we have the top there and we're going to go ahead and do the same thing along the bottom. And this was a great little final touch to this DIY. And I'm going to put like one of those battery operated pillar candles inside. I do end up finally putting a wood block inside too, just to lift my candle up. Just because the candles at the Dollar Tree aren't that large. But I have the largest one that they had. And just drop it inside. And we have an easy little box lantern. Isn't that cute? I love it. Okay, I wanted to make a second one. So I have these teal blue starfish signs from the Shore Living line as well. Now I'm going to use the other side of the square and we're going to make these little lanterns shorter. So this one I cut at 8 inches. Now the starfish on these, you can kind of tell which way they're going. You can kind of line them up like that. They kind of have a front and a back, but it probably doesn't really matter. And then I used the first one to cut out all 4 at 8 inches long. And we're going to put this lantern together the same exact way that we did the first one. So just a quick sand. And then I'm going to use one of the pieces to measure off the bottom. And cut that out as well. I have like a really nice power saw now and I just love it because I can cut so quickly. And then this one only needs 3 of the Jenga blocks because it's smaller. So I'm going to do the one at the bottom, flush to the bottom like I did before. And then I'm going to kind of spread out the other 2 along the side, kind of avoiding the top a little bit. And it's okay if you can see those in there. I mean, any kind of lantern like that's going to have some kind of support on the corner. So just gluing those all down, just like we did before. And then I'm going to do a second piece for the other side as well. Now this is that like really bright blue teal color. And I do plan to distress this to kind of make it a little bit more my style. And you'll see that here in just a minute. So let's go ahead and put this together. Again, just putting glue on the outside of those Jenga blocks and putting my side piece on. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Trying to make sure my tops stay top so all my starfish are level. And then we're going to put the 4th side on like we did before, one side at a time. These are really easy to put together. You know, these long, skinny signs from the Dollar Tree, I always love them, but I don't always know what to do with them. They're great for like skinny wall spaces, but if you have large wall spaces to fill, they can kind of seem insignificant because they're so thin. And then I'm going to glue on the bottom by gluing those 4 Jenga blocks to the bottom piece that we cut out. Now I'm going to go ahead and line the top and the bottom with rope, just like we did on the first one. And you'll remember I said I was going to paint and distress this. You know, your girl's crafted and she completely forgot she was going to paint and distress this. And so I get the rope on there first and then I'm like, oh yeah, I was going to paint this. Oops, sometimes I make my job harder than it needs to be, but that's okay. So we're just going to glue that on the top and the bottom just like we did before and then cut off the excess. Easy peasy, and it's a great way to cover up any imperfections there at the top and the bottom. This is when I remembered, oh yeah, I wanted to paint this, right? So I'm going to leave the inside that teal color and I am going to go ahead and tape off all my rope because I don't want to get any paint on that. And first I'm going to distress it in ivory, kind of working in a vertical direction, getting as close to the edges as I can with the rope there. And this is just going to kind of lighten this up. And then I'm going to go in with another color and distress it again. This is turquoise. And it's just a little bit more my beachy style than the bright teal that sign is. And it's going to go with my decor a lot more. I'm going to try to use a lot of these outside in my Florida room to decorate. And I'll need to give you a sneak peek of my Florida room sometimes. We have a great Florida room on our house, and my husband has done some great beachy DIYs out there that I think you guys would really like. So I am just kind of distressing all over with that turquoise too, letting some of that original blue show through. And it kind of gives it like a very rustic coastal vibe because it's got the 2 different colors of blue and the ivory. And I like how that turned out. That looks pretty cool. So just removing the tape and we are ready to put our candle inside. And I'm just using another one of those battery operated candles from the Dollar Tree. And this is how they turned out. Aren't they adorable? I just love them. Okay, we're going to use some more of these signs from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. I'm using some candle holders from the Shore Living line, some craft wood from the Crafter Square there, and 2 of these long signs, the seahorse one and the anchor one. And what we're going to do with these is make wall sconces. I thought that'd be really cute to do like a beachy coastal wall sconce with these. Since they have that long skinny shape, I thought they'd be perfect for that. So we're going to start with the one with the anchor. I just took the hanger off. This piece of craft wood that I got at the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree is the perfect width. And I'm just kind of using the jar for the candle to measure how long I need my shelf to be. And I'm going to go ahead and do 2 because I'm going to make 2 of the wall sconces. And the reason I'm using the craft wood and not the scrap wood is because I think it's going to need a thicker shelf to hold up the glass jar. Then these signs are not very thick. So the next thing I'm going to do is shorten the sign because they're just too long, I think, for wall sconces. I guess if you were going to do multiple shelves, they might work, but I want to do like a one shelf wall sconce. And so I am just going to cut these. I'm going to go ahead and do them both the same length. You could alternate different lengths, so I think when I finally hang them, I will kind of offset them. And so I think they'll look really cute being the same length. So I have all my pieces cut, my craft wood shelves, and my long signs. Now, I don't really like this blue color. It doesn't really match my decor. So I thought we could paint this similarly how we painted that last lantern. So I'm just going to go over the whole thing with some ivory. Kind of a messy coat in one direction there. And then I am going to go back over that with turquoise, just like I did before. And I'm going to go ahead and do this shelf as well. So I thought I'd better do a base coat of the ivory on all the sides that'll be visible so that they will coordinate. Now the other one is that natural wood, and I'm just going to leave that all natural. But this one I wanted it to be this beachy blue. So I'm just distressing that sign with the turquoise. And this one, you can kind of see that blue through, the white and the other blue. And even though this was a different blue to start with, it really matches the lantern well. Because it's mainly this turquoise color and the ivory. And if you paint it like this, you don't have to go back and distress it because you've already got the distressing in there. Just be sloppy with it. Then I decided that it was probably going to need a brace to hold up the glass jar. And so I'm going to use, this is just a giant Jenga block from Five Below. I love these for crafting, but you can kind of use whatever you've got as long as it fits and cut it to size. Now, I thought it would be cute to wrap the bottom of the sconce with some twine to give it another little beachy vibe. So I'm just going to attach some of the Dollar Tree twine to the bottom with some hot glue, and we are just going to simply wrap this around and then glue it on the back. I thought that'd be a nice little beachy decor, and I thought it'd be easier to go ahead and do that now before I put it all together. Now, this is how we're going to construct it. We have our little shelf for the candle, and then we have our support base. I'm going to attach that with hot glue. And I do go back and reinforce this a little bit more. And then I'm going to put glue on top of that and glue on the back of our shelves and glue on our little shelf for our wall sconce. Now, I want to put that glass jar on there. And so I don't want this falling apart. So I thought I would reinforce it. I'm just going to go in the back of this thin sign with a couple of screws into that base support that we have, that giant Jenga block. And I'm not drilling or anything. I probably should, but I'm just putting a couple screws in there just to give me a little bit more support. I'm going to go ahead and put the existing hanger back on the sign. And we are ready to do DIY number 4, which is going to be the seahorse wall sconce. So this is that beautiful color of wood. I thought we could decorate these the same, and so I am just gluing on some twine and wrapping that around. I know that the craft wood is not going to be the same exact finish as this sign, but it's close enough, definitely for coastal. It's kind of good for your things not to match. And then the little Jenga block is raw wood too, and so I'm just going to leave it like that too. I think they're fine. So I'm going to glue my little base support on using my first wall sconce as reference. So I can kind of get it in the same exact spot and glue on top of that block and glue on the back of my little shelf. And we're going to glue that on, and then I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the first one. I am going to screw in some screws in the back, just for a little extra help. Now it's time. I thought I would go ahead and attach the little candle holders. These are from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. I'm going to use the little blue one on this shelf, and I'm also going to attach it with hot glue so it doesn't fall off. to our shelf. And then I use the clear one on the turquoise sign. That way they kind of coordinate together. And I'm going to glue that one on the same. And since, I'm not 100% sure on I don't want to start a fire, I'm going to use some of the little battery-operated votive candles inside there. But first I thought I would put some Dollar Tree sand. So I'm going to fill them up a little bit with some of this Dollar Tree sand. And then put my little battery-operated candles from the Dollar Tree just inside. And we have 2 little beachy wall sconces. Didn't they turn out cute? I absolutely love these. So cute and such a good use for these long, thin, skinny signs. Okay, we're going to do more candles. So I got 3 of these globes at the Dollar Tree, and I thought I would do something different with each one. So the first candle holder we're going to do, I want it to look like a big globe full of nautical rope. Now, the rope from the Dollar Tree is only so wide, and I kind of saw like a large glass globe filled with like a really thick brown rope, and it looked really cute. And so I thought I would kind of replicate that, but on a smaller Dollar Tree scale. But this Dollar Tree rope is not thick like that rope, and so I thought I could try to make it. So I take 3 strands of the Dollar Tree rope, and I am just getting the plastic off the ends there. And then I'm just going to use painter's tape to adhere the 3 ends together so we can start twisting our own rope. So I'm going to, each one of these is like 3 ropes together, but I'm going to go ahead and try to wind them together. Now I use some duct tape to secure that to my surface, which doesn't work great because I secured it to silicone. I probably should have secured it to the wood. But I wanted to show you how I did this. So on the left strand, I'm going to turn it counterclockwise and then bring it over the other 2 like that. Now I have a new rope on the left side, and I'm going to do the same thing. You unwind it counterclockwise and then bring it over the other 2. And this is how you twist a rope and it stays together. And so you can see my tape kept coming up. So I had to keep taking breaks and gluing it back down. But I did finally get smart enough to attach it to the wood. And so I didn't have that problem. But I just want to make a big fat rope for this candle holder. And so I end up using about 2/3 of these ropes to get enough rope to fill up that glass globe. I'm trying to glue that down. Don't tape the silicone. Doesn't work. So I turn counterclockwise, cross over the other 2, turn the left one counterclockwise, and I just keep repeating that all the way down until I get a long enough rope. And basically what I want to do is put this rope inside the globe, kind of spiral it around, and then maybe leave room for a candle. So once I think I have enough, I'm just going to go ahead and cut those 3 ropes off. And this did work. It's not perfect, but it's kind of what I was going for with a thick, chunky, nautical looking rope. The ends, I just kind of try to keep it together. It stays together pretty well since we did the little twisting technique. And we have our rope, but using supplies from the Dollar Tree. Rope can be really expensive. It's kind of surprising. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove the tape that I had holding it together at this end. And we have a rope. So we're going to take that glass globe, and then I'm just going to put it down in there and just start winding it around in a circle. And I was really impressed that it did stay together and did not untwist. My first attempt, I just twisted it together and it just untwisted. And I'm like, there has to be a secret. But thanks to Google, I figured out the technique. So I really want it to be visible on the outside of the glass globe. And it made just enough to fill this up. So we're just going to coil that around. Now, if you had like a longer battery-operated votive candle, it would fit down perfect down inside there. I don't have any like in white or any colors that would go with this. So I'm going to use just a tiny tea light battery operated candle. And so I'm going to have to fill up that space in between. But here's a little preview of how that looks coiled in there. Very coastal, very nautical. So I'm just going to use the leftover pieces of rope I have and coil those inside to kind of lift that up so that I can put the smaller candle in there. Because I kind of got to work with what I got. The only photos I have are red. So I just keep coiling the leftover pieces of rope inside until I just want just a very small place, just large enough for a tea light candle. And there we go. That's perfect. So I'm going to cut that off and simply just turn on our little battery operated candle. And we have a very easy little coastal candle holder. And this is how it turned out. Super simple, but I think it's cute. Okay, our next globe, I thought we could cover this one in the starfish from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. Now, I thought I would just glue these all over the outside of the glass and put a candle inside. It's going to be so easy, but this one took me the longest, but it probably is my favorite in the end. But finding a way to glue these plastic starfish onto the glass jar was my nemesis. So my first attempt, I went over the whole thing and I just did hot glue. And I did 2 rows, 1 row there on the bottom and 1 row on the top, and they started falling off. And I was like, okay, gosh darn it, that's not going to work, especially if I put it outside. So I took them all off. I tried E6000 you saw there. Totally took too long to dry. I didn't have all year. So now I'm using some of this cement from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to go ahead and put some on each one of my 8 starfish. That'll cover that. And it said to let that dry for 10 minutes before attaching. Now, I really didn't think that was going to be enough because this is my 3rd attempt at making this. I cut a lot. So what I did is just did a ring of hot glue around that multi-purpose cement. So I was trying not to mix the glues together too much. And I used the combination. So the first row there, I just kind of go across from each other. I'm lining up the starfish touching like my mat there. And then I am going to go ahead and do the same thing for the other 2. Now I am making sure those things are attached with my hot glue. And so I alternate the other row like that. And I love how this turned out. It was just so hard to glue to glass. And just the angles and everything like that made it probably harder. Now for the second row, I kind of put them in the gaps of the first row. So they kind of alternate. And I'm going to go ahead and glue the final row on like that. So 4 on the bottom row, 4 on the top row. Now, it turned out super cute, but I was like, this is not going to stay together. I know it's not going to stay together. So what can I do to make this stay together because I love it? So I decided to use some of this twine from the Dollar Tree and make my own fishing net. That way, everything's kind of tied on, and if it breaks, it won't fall apart. At least that's my plan. So I did 3 rows around and tied it off. I did 1 row, the top starfish, tying that on, 1 row tying the bottom row on, and then I did 1 row in between, and I thought I could tie my own fishing net. Now, you could probably use some fishing net to do this. I just really wanted it to be tight on there, and so the fishing net part, this took me like probably 20 minutes. Because now I have to do all the vertical lines, and I wanted to be very careful not to knock off any of my starfish. So basically I tie off there on my top starfish, and then I go under the line. That's my middle row, and then I tie the twine to that, and then I tie to the bottom row. I go underneath the jar, come up, and I'm doing the same thing on the other side. I tie off the bottom one, then the middle one, and then the top one with my twine. And what I want to do is go around all the different rows and do the same thing. That way every starfish is tied down and hopefully it'll stay together. Now, I was getting really frustrated with this project, but I'm so glad that I didn't give up on it because it turned out to be my favorite candle holder. When it's lit, it shines like starfish all over everywhere. And so it just gives like a wonderful effect. So it was worth all the hard work. Now, if you can find a way to glue these all on there, more power to you. But I just knew after all the trouble that I had that it was not going to stay together. And so I just keep doing that on every row. Since I alternated them, I have 8 rows. And then each one I would go underneath the jar, pull it back up the other side, and do the same thing on the other side. And I'll show you here in a minute how it looks with the final fishing net. This is how it looks. So that also gives it a nice nautical touch, but it's also functional, my little fish net on there. And so inside, I'm going to put some more of that Dollar Tree sand. It's about a half a package of Dollar Tree sand. And then we're going to put a candle in. I'm going to use a real candle on this one, just a little votive candle. And I love how this turned out, even though it was a challenge. And here is how it looks lit. And at the final reveal, stick around. I'll show you how these all look in the dark. They turned out so fun. Okay, here's our third one. Now, I thought I would do this one a different way. I wanted to do all 3 of the globes completely different, but all coastal. Now, what I want to do is line the bottom of it with some of this nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. And so I am just going to kind of measure and cut off a piece that's going to go great around the bottom part of the candle. Once I get that measured out, I'm just going to go ahead and attach that with hot glue. There's kind of a ridge around the bottom of these little glass globes, and I'm going to do a bead of hot glue all the way around, and then just sit that on my rope and glue that on. I'm going to use a real candle with this one as well, so I don't want any of that rope along the top. I don't want anything flammable. Now I'm going to fill this up with some of my prettiest seashells that I have found at the beach. You can use whatever you have. And I really wanted pretty ones because you're going to be able to see it. So I'm kind of trying to do a variety and filling up just the bottom of our little globe with seashells. Now for this one, I'm going to do something completely different. I'm going to fill it up with water because the Dollar Tree has floating candles. So I thought that would be a fun little twist on this candle holder. And my son, this is his favorite. He loves this one. So the little floating candles come in a 2-pack and they are white. And I am just going to float that on top. And we have a little floating candle, which is coastal. And this is how it looks lit. And this is so fun. I love this one as well. Isn't that cute? Okay, our last DIY. I'm going to use one of these wire mesh storage baskets from the Dollar Tree and one of these salad plates from the Dollar Tree. This is the ceramic or glass plate. It really doesn't matter what color you use because you're not going to end up seeing it at the end, but mine just happened to be a beautiful color of beachy, like mint green color. And it fits perfectly on the top of these little storage bins. Now, I'm going to paint it because it's a little too white, so I'm just going to paint it with ivory, which turned out to be so easy, turning the white into ivory. I'm just going over with a foam brush. And I was inspired to make this candle holder by a couple of my Crafty Beach Mums over on our Facebook group. If you haven't joined, I'll post a link below. It's called Crafty Beach. Everybody shares all their DIYs over there. It is so much fun. You have to come join us. But 2 of my viewers, Robin and Stacy, both made like end tables, by putting two of the like trash can versions of this together with like a tray on top, and they filled it up with seashells, and it looked so cute. And so it inspired me to try to do something similar, but I'm going to make a candle holder out of it. So thank you, Robin and Stacy, for posting your great DIYs over there. You guys are giving me such great coastal inspiration. So we're going to fill this up with some seashells. I'm going to use a combination of Dollar Tree, some of my shell collection. I'm going to fill it up about halfway, not too full, but I want the pretty ones to kind of be visible there on the outside. Now, since some of these are my personal treasures, I want to be able to still get to them, and so I don't glue the plate on. I just kind of sit it in there. But I thought the wire, see how that fits in there perfectly? I thought the wire was needed a little something. So I'm going to use some of this brown rope from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to glue that on to the bottom of the wire basket, going along the little wire along the edge. And I thought this could make a really big candle holder, is what I was thinking. And so, it's going to be the size of the salad plate. So I'm also going to do the same thing around the top. This one I'm going to kind of glue it on top of the metal wire on top there so that you can't see it. And that's going to help seal my plate in there, but my plate will still be removable. Now, don't forget to come follow me over on Instagram and TikTok. My handle is Crafty Beach on YouTube. I will post a link below. I've been trying to get really active on Instagram, doing the real thing. I don't have hardly any followers over on TikTok, though, so I'm still kind of just getting started over there, but I would love for you to come follow me over on those as well. I'm just using a lighter to burn off the excess fibers from those ropes and kind of clean them up, because that Dollar Tree rope can be a little rough sometimes. And I think that looks pretty cool. So just doing a final touch on my shells, make sure they're all going the right direction. Then I'm going to sit my little plate in there. It fits in there like a glove. Perfect. And I thought that could be the base for our candle holder. So I want to make it look beachy. So I'm going to use some of this. This is the white sand from Dollar Tree. I've been having trouble finding the brown sand, so I'm kind of out of it. But white sand works as well. And I'm going to kind of fill that up with white sand. Now I'm going to use some of these real candles. These are the little votive candles. And I'm just going to kind of put them all over. I want there to be a lot of wicks, a lot of candles on this DIY. So I end up using like, let's see, 5 around the outside and 1 in the middle. Then I'm going to just kind of scatter little tiny seashells from the Dollar Tree all over, and some of the little tiny starfish that I get on Amazon as well. And just kind of give a little tiny beach scene on the top of our candle holder. And this turned out really fun. Definitely unique and definitely coastal. So once I get it all decorated just the way I want, I'm going to show you how it looks all lit up. Isn't it pretty? I love this. There's so many uses, indoor or outdoor, you could use for this. But I think it's really fun, and the candles will be really easy to change out. Finally, I wanted to give a huge thank you to Sarah and Michelle for your super thanks on my video. This is a new feature that YouTube has put below my videos where you can give a monetary donation to help support this channel. And I really appreciate it. It can be as little as $2, and every little bit helps. Thank you so much, Sarah and Michelle. Okay, it's time for our 6K giveaway. I can't believe we're here already, but I found another set of these Shore Living stencils, and I wanted to give these out to one of my crafty beach bums. So all you have to do to enter this 6K giveaway is to make sure you're subscribed to my channel, like this video, and comment 6K below, because we're almost to 6,000 subscribers. Try to get your entry in before Tuesday night, and we will do the drawing on Wednesday. Good luck, everybody. The only rules are that you live in the continental United States and be 18 years old. Okay, are you ready for the final reveal? Here we go. Thanks so much for watching, everyone.
For better days to come and carry us like wind in our sails. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore. 7 years now on this boat, and we all know where we belong. Just wait. For our home to show on the horizon, soon we'll be there. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore. When we can't read the sky, we just sail with the wind that we've got. And when we're drowning in doubt, just keep on believing. We are dreamers of the shore. For better days to come and carry us like wind in our sails. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore. Now on this boat, and